Hey there, rock fans. It's Joe Bouchard, one of the former members of Blue Oyster Cult. You guys remember them? Well, you're listening to Rock On Radio with Danny Coleman. Rock on, brothers and sisters.
Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to 2025, and yet another year of Rock On Radio. For now, at least. Don't read too much into that, but I'll let you think about it. Producer Claire has once again left me unsupervised this evening, so who knows where this show is going. I do know that I have an interview with Gina Coleman of Misty Blues, where she talks about the band's origins and her upcoming January 17th show at the Lizzie Rose Music Room in Tuckerton. And we will get to that and more very shortly. But before we do, Rock On Radio is brought to you by O'Connor's American Bar and Grill of East Hampton, Mount Holly, New Jersey. They are the official caterers of Rock On Radio. New Jersey Stage. If you go to newjerseystage.com, you will read articles about the finest arts and entertainment scene all around New Jersey and slightly beyond. Lillipie's of Princeton, located inside the Princeton Shopping Center at 301 North Harrison Street. Lillipie's is the official dessert provider of Rock On Radio. Phoenix Art Supply and Framing, located on Route 611 in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Once again, that's Phoenix Art Supplies and Framing, located on Route 611 in Doylestown, PA. The Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation. Go to jsjbf.org and see what that fantastic organization has in store for you. Asbury Park Vibes. Once again, I must mention many, many thank yous to Diane of Asbury Park Vibes for allowing us to invade her space for the 16th annual Christmas Spectacular, which I hope you all enjoyed or listened to. If you missed it and you want me to send it to you, just please send me an email, DannyColeman'sRockOnRadio@gmail.com, or go through my website, dcror.com, and I will gladly send you a link to hear part 1, 2, or both of the 16th annual Christmas Spectacular. But once again, that took place at AsburyParkVibes.com. Dee's Lights. You can find her on social media under that same moniker, Dees, Deedees, Dee's Lights. She's the official candle maker, otherwise known as a chandler, of Rock On Radio. Cigar Beauty. Go to cigar.beauty on Instagram and see everything that Holly has in store. She is the owner of Crown Majesty Cigars. And if you're a cigar enthusiast, you really need to look her up. Cigar.beauty or crownmajestycigar.com. Sinister Footwear. Go to sinisterfw.com and check out the crazy socks. And if you decide to order, use the promo code DCRSOCKS. You'll get 10% off your order. That's sinisterfw.com. Sandy Hall Music. Sandy Hall is an artist right here on the Deco Entertainment label, where this show is put together every week at the fabulous Two Tracks Studios of Deco Entertainment, who I want to thank, Bruce and Charlie, incredibly. And I look forward to working with them more in 2025. But Sandy Hall Music, both of her albums and her most recent, Full Circle, are here and can be found on decoentertainment.com. And if you want to find out more about me, as I said earlier, go to dcror.com, where you'll see all of the things that I have my hands into. You'll get to see pictures of producer Claire, which is why most people go there anyway. and all of our great guests over the years. There are select photos of various guests and so on and so forth. So again, DCROR.com, which is the quick link for Danny Coleman's RockOnRadio.com. Facebook is facebook.com/Danny Coleman's Rock On Radio 2. That would be the number 2. And Instagram is at Rock On Radio, all one word, all capital letters. Well, as promised, I have an interview with Gina Coleman of Misty Blues, and we're going to get the program started with that. She will be at the Lizzie Rose Music Room along with the rest of Misty Blues on January 17th. I believe it's a 7 p.m. or 7:30 p.m. show. Tickets are available through Misty Blues website, or I am running a contest. If you email me, and you're the first to do so, at Danny Coleman's RockOnRadio.com, you can win a pair of tickets to that show at the Lizzie Rose Music Room in Tuckerton, New Jersey. Now, Misty Blues are coming down all the way from Massachusetts to perform for you, and I have a pair of tickets for free. First person to email me at Danny Coleman's RockOnRadio.com wins the tickets. I've actually got 2 separate pair to give away. So let me change that. First 2 people to email me at Danny Coleman's RockOnRadio.com will win the tickets to see Misty Blues. Okay, so without further ado, let's get to my interview with Gina Coleman. Hello, Gina Coleman of Misty Blues. I love this. This is the second time we get to talk now within the week. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm just delighted to get to talk to you again.
You called the Christmas show last week, and which is usually, I like to call it controlled mayhem, but it's really not that controlled.
It sounded like you guys were having a blast.
Oh, that we do. You know, I make some eggnog. I get visited this time of year by the 3 spirits every year, and they all go in the eggnog. Jim Beam, Ron Bacardi, and all of the Christian brothers make their way into my eggnog.
Well, I got to get me some of that.
And because they get a little wild, sometimes they need a captain, so the captain gets put in there a little bit too. So, but you called because Misty Blues has a show coming to the Lizzie Rose Music Room in Tuckerton, New Jersey, on January 17th, and we are all very excited about that.
I'm thrilled because this is this is our first time at the Lizzie Rose. It's a venue that I've always wanted to play at, and it's in your backyard, so we get to finally meet in person after all these years.
True story. Yeah. I think it's fantastic. I know myself and my producer Claire are going to be arriving there. Darren,
Awesome.
who we spoke with last week from the Lizzie Rose, is very excited about you making the trip down from Massachusetts. And we're excited too, and I am. It's been far too long. I feel like I've known you for years, and technically, I guess I have. But that's the beauty, and I suppose the weird thing about online these days. There's just so many. You can be quote unquote friends with somebody and feel like you've been friends forever. And which is funny because when somebody mentions Misty Blues or say, "Oh yeah, my friend Gina Coleman," and I'm like, "What?" And we've never met, but we're like, I consider you a friend, and
yes, absolutely.
And that's what technology does. And
this is the new version of pen pals.
Yeah, right. Except I'm not in prison yet.
You're not.
So tell my listeners who may not have heard our conversation on the Rock on Radio Christmas Spectacular last week, tell them about Misty Blues. How many albums, how long you've been together, the people you've worked with. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, this year happens to be our 25th anniversary year, so we've been doing blues, contemporary blues, for a quarter of a century. And this year we released 2 albums. So that brings us up to 16 albums in total as a band.
Wow.
I know. And we just finished arranging our 17th album. And it's still a little up in the air when it'll be released, but it'll be soonish.
Ish. Well, with the way you put albums out, just in the 5 years that, nearly 5 years that I've known you, in the way you put albums out, it pretty much ensures a constant touring schedule, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, there's nothing I love more than playing out live other than recording. I have a passion for both of those. And thankfully we're pretty prolific. And so I can satiate that need whenever I want, because I always, anytime you speak to me, I have an album in the can. I've got tracks. I can pull together tracks for another album as we speak, even though we just finished arranging the 17th. I have the 18th ready.
Boy, that recording studio must love you.
Oh, that's why we're starting to build our own.
Probably a good move.
That's the next project.
Well, all right. So your last album, you've had 3 actually over the course of the last year and a half, pretty much, right?
Actually, I've had 5.
5?
5 in the past 2 years.
Now I know about the 2 tributes to Odetta, and Silver Lining.
Silver Lining, Outside the Lines, which is the other original album that Mark first produced for us. And then there was Live at the Cavern Club.
Oh, I forgot about the Cavern Club. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Outside the Lines. Yeah, that kind of came at me in bits and pieces. I mean, you were sending me songs off of it, for my blues radio show, and that's right. You worked with Mr. Swirsky on those efforts.
Yeah.
So 5 albums in the last year and a half.
I know.
And they're all doing or have done very well. The Odetta albums are still charting, aren't they?
Yep, still charting. As of this morning, the latest Odetta album is number 1 on the folk charts for the Roots Music Report.
Now, I remember you privately, and then in interviews I've read that you've sent me or that I've seen, telling the story about how you met Odetta.
Yeah.
And the influence that she had upon you. And the one album is named after the very quote that she said that evening, correct?
Actually, both are named after quotes from Odetta that evening.
Okay. I know about the first one. I was not aware of the second one.
Yes. So I met Odetta in the early to mid-'90s at an Arlo Guthrie concert at the Bottom Line in New York City. We were both guests of Arlo's, and she was seated next to me at this giant reserved table. And before the show started, a patron rushed up to Odetta and said, "Do you remember me? Do you remember me?" And then Odetta kind of recoils a little bit, and she says, "Child, I'm too old for games. Tell me who you are." So the first album is Tell Me Who You Are, and this latest album is I'm Too Old for Games.
Okay. Oh, that's all right. So it's part of the same quote.
Right, exactly.
Excellent. How big of an influence was she on you? Because I know you really didn't start with blues music. You started more with gospel, if I recall.
Uh, Actually, it was actually more folk. To be honest, acoustic folk funk is what what I started out with, and then with my band Coal Connection. But then I got an opportunity to do a theater production of A Raisin in the Sun, and where I was asked to sing gospel blues selections. And that's when the lead actor of that production said, your voice is really perfectly suited for the blues. So he gave me this CD collection called Men Are Like Streetcars. It's a double disc collection of all female blues artists from let me see, the early 20s to like 1928 to 1969. All female blues classics and songs that I had heard individually, but when it was combined into this collective, it was transformative. And so then I went to the guys in my former band Coal Connection. I said, let's mix things up. Let's become a blues band. And then off the top of my head, I said, let's call ourselves Misty Blues. And that's how it began in 1999.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you. And then for full and total disclosure, our relationship began in December of 2019.
Yeah.
Just as I was getting ready to do my first ever Danny Coleman's Got the Blues in January of 2020.
Yep.
And I'm so glad you sent me your album and found me online, because you were really the first person who who had reached out to me about that show.
Yeah.
And
well, I was intrigued. I'm like, who's this person with my last name? and they're playing blues. I must reach out to this person. And that was the year we were coming off of, a really good showing at the International Blues Challenge, because we made it to the finals of the Blues Challenge in 2019.
Right.
Yeah.
And
so
now,
we were riding high. We were going to festivals all over the place and just doing exceptionally well. And then then the pandemic hit and kind of halted everything.
that had to be so frustrating.
Yeah.
I know it's frustrating for me. We joked when you called Rock on Radio last week that I hadn't been thrown out of the Bronx yet, but I was thrown out of the radio station twice.
No.
My program director, who I love dearly, Winifred, she stuck me back in June of 2020, and I managed to do 3 shows from the radio station itself.
Yeah.
And they found out I was there, and they told her he's got to go. So they threw me out because it's of there. And then she stuck me back in the fall, and they're like, nope, he's got to go again.
Oh, my. That's funny.
Yeah, but I left, but I had Gina Coleman and Misty Blues in tow. So it all worked out. Now, you're going to be on at the Lizzie Rose on January 17th. Now, you've gigged in Jersey before, correct?
No, I actually have not.
No?
That's the funniest thing, is like, how did New Jersey elude us? We've played everywhere in the Northeast except for Jersey.
Well, you can't say that anymore. As of the 17th of January, anyway.
I know it's like an odd blind spot. I don't get it.
Now, did the Lizzie Rose reach out to you, or was it the other way around?
No, my booking assistant reached out to the Lizzie Rose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I wasn't kidding you when I said you'll be able to see who's in the men's room. It is a very, first off, the stage is magnificent. It's not very large, but it's the background, the backdrop of the stage is all stained glass windows.
Oh, nice.
And it's an old Victorian style mansion.
Mm-hmm.
And the room that the shows take place in, I can only imagine must have been maybe like a parlor or a holding area where when people came to visit the man or lady of the house, that's where people would wait. That's all
Right.
that's all I can think of. I could be dead wrong. I'm just espousing that, but that's the feel it always had to me. Or like a small conservatory or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a very intimate room, and Darren wasn't kidding when he said we will be right on top of you. The chairs are so close together. It's pretty much, you can't cross your legs. Let's put it that way. But it's the sound guy. I think he said his name was Todd. Does a fantastic job, and a lot of your buddy Joe Louis Walker has played there. And I saw Stanley Jordan there back in May.
Oh, no.
It is such a great little room, and there's only. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have heard of the room, and it's infamous,
Yeah.
In fact, my saxophonist, Aaron Dean, has played that room on a few occasions because he's in a Van Morrison tribute band called Moondance, and they play there at least once a year. And he's like, it's the coolest room. So I'm so happy to go back with Misty Blues.
There you go. Now ask him about the men's room. He'll tell you.
He said it's actually a bigger version of a very cool place here in Western Massachusetts that we love to play at, called the Dream Away Lodge in Beckett, Massachusetts, and it was an old, supposedly an old brothel.
Nice.
And they have a music room. They have a music room where Bob Dylan and Joan Baez and Arlo Guthrie used to hang out and create music in. So it's got a history as well. So he equates the Lizzie Rose to the Dream Away, but he believes the Lizzie Rose is a slightly bigger. So you can imagine.
Wow. Wow. Yikes. Well, either way.
Can't really put seating in the Dream Away. People sit on the floor in the music.
Wow, that might be even smaller than the Lizzie Rose. Then.
Like, that's dedication, because if you get me on this floor, you're going to need a Hoyer lift to get me back up.
You and I both. Well, the gig is on the 17th, which I believe is a Friday evening.
Yeah.
Tickets. The tickets go on sale, or they're already on sale, correct?
They have already been on sale. So,
okay. And
you go to the website and scroll down to January 17th, and we're right there.
Okay, so you can get them at the Lizzie Rose Music Room website, or can you buy them off of MistyBlues.com or no?
No, we don't hold the tickets, but you can go to our website and click on our schedule, and there'll be a link to the ticket link at Lizzie Rose.
Okay, and what can we expect from you? Is it what's your contract say? You playing straight through, or are you doing 2 sets?
I assume we're doing 2 sets. I haven't looked at the advance yet, but I that's what I think. But we're prepared to just play straight through. We have plenty of material, you know that.
This is true. Now, will Diego be with you on this gig?
Diego, yes, will be with us.
All right, I look forward to meeting him as well.
Yes. So,
All right.
and he's thrilled to meet you as well.
How many pieces are you bringing that evening?
I think I'm bringing six of us.
Okay. Will you be?
Seven.
Will there be any cigar box guitar?
Oh, now you're forcing my hand. It's a small room. No one to bring that extra gear.
Hey, I saw Eliza Niels there, and she rocked that, and the volume was beautiful. So, Todd does a good job. I'm telling you, maybe that cigar box should make the trip.
You may be forcing my hand on this one.
But well, you also mentioned last week you may be sneaking in a couple of songs off the next studio album.
You know what? We just may have to.
I like it.
We'll see.
All right. Now, I got to tell you, before you leave, I got to tell you a funny story about your buddy, Joe Louis Walker.
Yes.
And I guess the last time I spoke to him, and it's been a while, probably back the beginning of this year. So it's probably been almost a year since I spoke to him.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him, I said, how you doing with my buddy Gina Coleman and Misty Blues? And of course he had nothing but fantastic, things to say about you guys.
Yeah.
But here's the one that I found funny.
What?
He says,
Okay.
He says to me, he goes, they're fantastic. I love them people. They're great. They are great people. I love their music. Gina is fantastic, or fabulous, I think he said. And he says, I sit back and I try to remember how I made that connection. I think it was some radio guy introduced us. I'm like, Joe, that was me. Oh, that was you?
Pulling your leg.
I was like, well, as long as he remembers Gina, that's all that matters.
That's funny. Well, I almost hung up on him.
I know. Oh, that's a great story, Gina. That's a great story.
That was a near miss on my part.
Because I never said anything to you.
No, you didn't. Yeah, no, I was talking to him as if, it was I thought it was one of my buddies, like, pranking me. He calls me on my cell phone and says, oh, this is Joe Louis. Yes, it's Joe Louis Walker. What do I, what do I count this this gracious call from you? I was snarky as all heck, and he's laughing hysterically. He's like, no, it's really Joe Louis Walker. And then he said, oh, yeah, Danny Coleman told me this, that, and the other, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Walker.
That's funny.
But we've had the great fortune of opening for him on several shows since, and he, I've spent a good amount of time chatting with him and my band, and we love him. We love his band. He's just a phenomenal individual.
Yes, that he is, Joe. Great guy for sure. And the other one, like we spoke about the other day, is Early Times.
Early Times, yeah. He's on our 25th anniversary album, Silver Lining.
Right.
The title track, Silver Lining. And he did a fantastic job.
And for those of you listening who don't know, Early Times is a DJ on Sirius XM, BB King's Bluesville.
That's right.
So, and you are all over Bluesville. It really does. I've gotten in my truck at 5 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock at night. It doesn't matter. It gives me, and in your words, it never gets old.
It never gets old.
Turn on the radio, and there you see Misty Blues, or to see when Early had his stuff on. Shamiko would play his some of his tunes, and then when to hear Joe Bonamassa play your stuff.
Yeah.
And that for me, it never gets old, because every time I see your name or Joe Louis Walker or Eliza Niels,
Yes.
and because Eliza and I have become pretty good friends, and it's been out. It gives me such a sense of like, that is so cool. I am so happy for you guys whenever I see your music out there.
Well, Eliza and I have been talking back and forth. We're trying to set up a double bill somewhere down.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that would definitely have to be one. I would have to.
Yeah.
I would have to check out. Now that you made it into Jersey, you gotta keep going. This whole area, there's a lot of great theaters. One that Eliza, I saw Eliza last week 2 weeks ago at the Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation holiday party. She was the headline. She was the act, and so I was hanging out with her and Jay and then, but her and Joe Louis Walker. Eliza opened for Walter Trout, and Joe Louis Walker always hits the Sellersville Theater, where I saw Eliza and Walter in Pennsylvania, Sellersville, Pennsylvania, which is probably 20 minutes outside of Philly.
Oh, cool.
But that's a great venue. So, yeah, if you're doing anything with Eliza, she knows all them great venues down here. So, because she's played most of them, and that would be one double bill. I will be there if I have to limp along.
Yeah, I got to circle back with her. We got to make that happen.
Oh, that would be great. That really would. So, your website and everything, Gina, how do we find you so that we can get to that link for the Lizzie Rose Music Room on January 17th?
Yeah, MistyBluesBand.com. And, our social media platforms, Facebook is Misty Blues Band. Instagram is Misty Blues Band 413. That's our area code.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, come on out. Come on out and see us at this fantastic little venue.
I think you start at 7:30, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, that'll be a fantastic show. Misty Blues at the Lizzie Rose Music Room on January 17th. Again, if you want tickets, you can go to Lizzie Rose's website, which I don't have off the top of my head here in front of me. But let's see if I can look that up before we hang up. Before we hang up on the see, this is where I need my producer Claire. She does all this stuff while I'm chatting away.
LizzieRoseMusic.com.
There you go. Perfect. LizzieRoseMusic.com. Exactly. Before I let you go, after the Lizzie Rose, what do you have coming up then?
That actually on Sunday of that week, we head to Cafe Lena in Saratoga Springs, New York.
Okay.
Where we'll be doing their MLK programming and doing selections from both of our live tribute albums to Odetta.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, the Cafe Lena is probably the longest running folk club in the country.
Oh, wow. Now, I've heard of that room.
Yeah. And Odetta used to play there regularly, so it feels amazing to do her music there. Right.
I bet. That's great. That is great. Yeah. All right, Gina. Well, before we when we are done with the call here, what tune of yours would you like me to play on the way out?
Ooh, Wow, that's so. It's the holidays, right?
Yeah.
Well, we do have a holiday single.
You want the new one or last year's?
Oh, do the new one.
All right, we'll give him the new one. Jingle my bells no more.
Jingle no more.
Jingle no more. That's right, jingle no more. All right. Well, we're going to do that. We're going to play that right now and let you go. Once again, Misty Blues at the Lizzie Rose Music Room, January 17th, 7:30 p.m. Go to lizzierosemusic.com and, or what did we say it was? Lizzie Rose?
Music.
Yeah, Lizzie Rose Music. I had that right. .com and buy your tickets now. So
right now.
Right. Well, Gina, thank you so much.
All right. No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
For that. And here's Misty Blues, Jingle No More.
Something changed more than the season, without much rhyme, but very good reason. While we prepare for the glad tidings, I must reveal what I've been hiding. My bells don't jingle, they just don't jingle for you no more. My bells don't jingle no more. Those reindeer games no longer thrill me, and those fruitcakes no longer fill me. I made my list, I checked it twice, so you've been knowing to be nice. My bells don't jingle, they just don't jingle for you no more. My bells don't jingle no more. One crib out the other, eating them cookies and enjoying the plunder. Your boundless deposits, I did outgrow. No longer will you find my mistletoe. My bells don't jingle, they just don't jingle for you no more. My bells don't jingle no more. My bells don't jingle no more. My bells, they just don't jingle for you no more. One, two, three, four. Well, there's a million ways to live your life. You can find a partner, you can find a wife, and you can settle down, make a family. But I'm not so sure that's for me. I tell you, I'm a happy, so happy to do. Well, I'm a happy just to by myself. Yeah, and I can keep myself entertained. I don't need nobody else. That's right. I said I'm happy, so happy to dance. Just a happy just to do my thing. Yeah, I can keep myself entertained. I don't need no ding-a-ling.
when the sun goes down, I start thinking, well, it might be nice to have somebody around. Well, it might be nice. Well, it might be nice to have somebody around. Well, it might be nice. 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 Somebody, body around.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh, can't you see? I gotta be me. Ain't nobody just like this. I gotta be me. Baby, hit on miss. Sitting here all by myself, just trying to be everybody else. Can't you see? I gotta be me. Ain't nobody just like this. I gotta be me. Baby, hit on this. Look at you all by yourselves. Just listen to everybody saying everybody else. Can't you see? You gotta be you. Ain't nobody just like you. You gotta be you. Baby, hit on this. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh, can't you see? I gotta be me. Ain't nobody just like this. I gotta be me. Baby, hit on this. Sitting here all by myself. Just gotta be everybody else. And can't you see? I gotta be me. Ain't nobody just like this. I gotta be me. Baby, hit on this. Ain't nobody just like this. I gotta be me. Baby, hit on this. Thank you.
There you have it. 3 phases of Misty Blues. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Gina Coleman. And afterwards, we played their most recent holiday song, Jingle No More, which was followed by a tune called Hit or Miss, and then Hold On. Now, Hit or Miss was off of that album, the live tribute to Odetta, called Tell Me Who You Are. And then the last one, Hold On. I don't know if that was a single or off their 25th anniversary. I think that was off their 25th anniversary album. However, they will be at the Lizzie Rose on January 17th, 2025. Show is 7 or 7:30. And again, I've got a pair of tickets. First person to email me gets a pair of those tickets. First 2 people to email me get a pair of those tickets. Well, up next is a gentleman by the name of Scott Coleman. Now, Scott, more affectionately known as Slaw, and you'll hear in this interview how that all came about, at the age of 55, quit his day job and decided to give a full-time musician's career a go. So here's my interview with Slaw, whose album was just released on November 1st, his debut album, November 1st, 2024.
Yeah, we're not new, but it's new for me, so yeah, the whole, I don't know, I'm sure you read things, but been playing music my whole life, but really just kind of recorded this single album, a couple of years ago. First time I've ever really done it in earnest and, put everything I had into it, and kind of wrapped up my other career, sold my business about a year and a half ago. So I'm in a place now where I'm able to kind of actually, pursue it, in earnest. So, yeah. So that's where I am.
No kidding. All right. Good for you, man.
Pretty standard trajectory,
Well, it's kind of, I'm a musician myself, and it's kind of odd how when we're kids, we're all full of, for lack of a better term, piss and vinegar, and, we want to be rock stars, and we want to do this, we want to do that, and then life gets in the way. And then, I didn't start doing the things I do now till I was about 46 or 47, so I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, all right, go ahead.
But I guess this is what you, would wanted to be doing. So, yeah, you kind of came full circle too, I guess, huh?
Yeah, for me, I'm a drummer and Latin percussionist. So I, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a working musician as a goal. Right. My parents, who were very supportive in everything, apparently, except that. My mom, I'll never forget, I graduated 80th out of a class of 521 in high school. And
Okay.
and my mom's like, well, why aren't you going to college? I said, I'm done with school. I don't want to go to college. Well, you need a job. I have a job. You do? I was like, yeah, I'm a musician. No, you need a real job. It's kind of like George Thorogood. Get a haircut and get a real job,
Son, we support you in everything you do except this.
Yeah, that's a
It's
good
funny.
side job. It'll make you great money, Yeah. Well, I'm living in your house. If I want to stay here, I need a job, I'm told. So
Right.
So trying to balance both has always been a challenge, as I'm sure you know. But then when after my ex-wife and I split up, and I had a back injury that ended my career as a UPS driver, I said, you know what? Screw it. I've done everything for everybody else. Now I'm doing this for me.
There you go.
So I dove into radio and my writing and music again, and so
Yeah, man. That's great. That's great. Cool. Well, I guess we kind of see eye to eye a little bit.
Yes, that's why I told you that.
Yeah, I guess that's why we're talking. Maybe you related,
Yeah.
to the other old guy. No, but yeah, man. But I always did it as a hobby. I never really saw it as early on. I always loved music and so forth, but I never saw it as a career. I don't know. I always envisioned myself going into the business route, and I actually I've always been an entrepreneur. Big started and failed in a lot of businesses and so forth, but finally got it right. At the end of the day, and but I have always just played music and played in bands and had a great time with it, but have never really created something from me. So this was the opportunity to do that, and that's where we are.
Oh, that's great. So is this, well, okay, I'll bite. What's with the Slaw now? Is that just what you go by on stage, or is that the name of the band?
Well, both. It's not a band; it's me. And
Okay.
And that's the other thing. I've been in bands my whole life. And to me, getting to this point, to do something like this, to do your own album and have control over everything, for lack of a better word, for good or bad, it's kind of got to be you, and not a band, if you will. So decided to do this solo. But Slaw is, my name is Scott Coulson, right? So my friends, they call me Coulson, and then they thought it was funny to call, it went from Coulson to Coleslaw pretty quickly. And then the lazy ones, went, with Slaw, hey Slaw, so Slaw's been a nickname I've had for, quite a while. And, the one word name worked for Prince and Sting and Bono. So, why not me? I guess.
There you go. It's come in handy.
Yeah. I'll tell you an interesting story, though, man. When I was, kind of just letting, friends and family know, hey, I'm doing this under Slaw or whatever, my aunt, who I hadn't talked to in forever, said, hey, this is, this funny about the Slaw thing. Casey, your cousin, who's about my age-ish or whatever, also had, was called Slaw in high school. So I guess his friends made the same stupid, progression, so kind of funny.
That's what men and boys do, man.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
My mother asked me one time, don't you have any friends that have, like, normal names?
Well, they all have normal names. We've just adjusted them.
Yeah, we just don't use them. Yeah. So tell me about you as a musician, and then we'll get a little more into the music in the album.
Yeah, I guess as a musician, always been vocals first. Always was the lead singer in every band that I played in, and play guitar, play harmonica. But I guess in terms of music and writing music, I always really start with with the vocals, with the leads, the hooks, the melodies, and then kind of back it in from there as a generally speaking. I mean, as you know, songs come from everywhere, but that's kind of generally where I come from. So I always hear the vocals, the front of the songs, and and back it in from there.
Okay. So when you sit down to write your music, I'm not going to ask you the same stupid question that everybody else does. What are your influences? No. But when you do sit down to write your music, like I deal with a lot of songwriters. And I've dealt with, being in bands myself over the years, songwriters. And I always find the processes of each to be very similar, yet everybody has their own different idiosyncrasies, so to speak, And when you sit down, are you one of those guys that sits down and says, I haven't written a song in a while. Let me sit down and try and write something? Or are you the kind that you're walking along and all of a sudden something hits and you got to sit down on a park bench and say, oh, God, I got to write this down?
Yeah. Well, that little recorder button, that app, the voice recorder thing.
Oh, yeah.
The years, you come up with some cool little, thing, ditty, and, the next day you've lost it or whatever. So when I went through a very creative stretch, 3 or 4 years ago, and I was working too at the time. So I'd be on the road and driving somewhere between meetings and, humming something, and something would come to me, and I have time, and I'd grab the recorder and, come up with it, just hum the line basically. And then when I get back to my home studio, a couple days later, I go and work it out from there. And so that's kind of typically how it would start with me, just kind of a cool part, cool, melody or a cool hook on a line. And then I would typically go back and, build it out from there. And I've also done the, written songs, where it's just like this chord progression and then, sing on top of that. But, it's always, just something cool part comes up, and then I build it up from there. I don't typically go, I need to write a song. No, that never really, that doesn't really, that's not the way it goes for me. I don't know how others do it, but I guess it kind of starts with a cool part, either vocally or a cool chord progression, and then, build it out from there. Yeah.
How important are lyrics to you?
It's interesting, man. They used to not be very important at all. I used to have deep arguments in college with friends, like, dude, night-long drunk arguments, like, hey, man, it's about how it sounds, okay, and then, no, it's about the lyrics, man, it means something. So I would tell you that always the sound, I really don't care what I used to say I don't care what it means. But because there are a lot of songs that I love that I really don't know what they mean, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, some, if you get the lyrics right, to me there's kind of, if you get them, there's kind of really three parts to me. Vocal, the melody of the song, and then there's the music, behind it, and then there's the meaning of the song. I think it's really kind of three elements. And when you get them all together and get them all just right, I think that's when you have something special. You can be moved by all three. You can, moved by one part of one of those three, when you're listening to a song. But if you get all of the above, you got something, really special probably.
Right. Okay. So the album.
Well, the album is actually called Here I Come, which is the single, one of the singles I've released. It's the title track, and Here I Come is kind of two things. If you listen to the song, it's really about kind of hanging in there, and when things go bad, it's about grit and determination, and hey, just hang in there. When your time comes, go for it. At the same time, I guess the double meaning of it is kind of Here I Come. It's my first album, even at age 55. Here I come. So it's got a kind of a double meaning to it.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I misread that. I was looking at the wrong part of the press release. So, being your first album, you mentioned earlier, there is no band. It's just you. Who did the tracks for the record?
Yeah, so I having never done this before, I her name's Erin Anderson out of Nashville, and I had started talking to her, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and I sent her a bunch of demos, and I'm like, hey, I'm looking at getting into this in earnest as a solo artist. And she listened to it. She goes, that sounds good, but first step is let's get the album recorded. And so I said, okay. So I took the demos and started looking for a producer I could work with up in Nashville, and I found Sean Byrne. And I feel like I just really got lucky. I mean, talked to a few others, but he and me really kind of hit it off, personally, but also musically. I was really impressed by what he was doing, and good things, heard good things from other folks. And and then so took all my demos up there. We basically kind of agreed on tempo and all of them, laid them out. He did a basic guitar track. He's also an amazing guitar player, and laid them out. I did all the lead, all the vocals, and then we started layering the artists, layering other instruments on. As you can hear, there's strings on there, so I've always loved. So there's he did the guitar. Then we brought in a Brian Sutherland, a cellist, who's amazing, who's going to be playing live shows with me. Andrea Young is a violin player that they brought in, played some amazing fiddle parts on there. Tried to get her to come play with me, but I think she's touring with Rod Stewart now. So amazingly, she upped it for Rod. Instead of me. But,
she don't know what she's missing.
that's right, man. And the amazing thing up there is, I know you're in New Jersey, but I don't know shit about Nashville, but it's really an amazing kind of little close knit, community there. These amazingly talented, musicians, and Sean's just well connected and brought in, some amazing folks to come in and play and sing on the record.
I actually have a bunch of friends that live in Nashville. I was just there last month, actually.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I went there and I went to Memphis, and I don't mean any disrespect in any way, but I was far more all about Memphis than I was Nashville.
Oh, yeah? You like the blues scene?
Yeah, primarily I'm a blues musician, but I just felt it to be more authentic, more personable, more. I heard nothing but original music in Memphis, and it was a hell of a lot less expensive.
I hear you, man. So it is the most teeming city that I'm aware of. I went to both Vegas and Nashville last summer, whatever, and I don't think Vegas has anything on Nashville. And I was sitting outside, and we were having a couple beers with some friends, and we're just looking out, watching, on Broadway there, and just literally every 3 minutes another party bus, goes by.
Yep.
I mean, a bachelorette party or, something, and it was like 11 a.m. I mean, it's insane. So, it's lost a little bit. If you dig deep enough, you can find the authentic stuff, the honky tonks there. But yeah, it's so big and so popular now that, I hear you. I can see that, how you maybe lost a little of that authenticity.
Yeah, and I went everywhere for it too, man. I went Broadway. I went to Printer's Alley. I went down to Music Row. I went, I don't know, but would I go back?
Right.
Sure, I'd go back, but it wouldn't be my first choice,
Yep, I hear you. I hear you. But musically, the people are there. I mean, the artists, the musicians, the session musicians. I don't think there's a stronger place on the planet, frankly.
Do you worry about that though? Because I have friends down there. Their names they go by either Kelly and Troy or Carvin Walls. I think they're Carvin Walls, and they're doing very well for themselves. But one of the things that I find, like when I was a kid, and you're not that much younger than me, but you remember the two places you had to be were either L.A. or New York. That's where the big recording studios were. That's where the big record companies were. Now everything is Nashville. You got to go to Nashville. Artists like yourself, are you afraid that you might get lost in what has basically become like white noise now?
Absolutely. I mean, look, if you're going to go, start your, yes, it's hard. I mean, there are so many talented artists. I mean, it's kind of a double-edged well point out. If you're talented, you got to kind of go there. That's probably where the opportunity is going to be for you to to play and get on records and so forth. But at the same time, there's a ton of competition there. There's it's just loaded with massive amounts of talent. So if you want to stand out, but at the same time, it's where it's happening. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
if you will. So it's just kind of how it goes.
All right, so now that it's coming, the album is coming out on the 1st. What do you plan to do to support it?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned earlier, I hadn't played a note in a couple of years when we decided to re-release this album. So we've been rehearsing with the new band that I'm putting together. Like I said, a couple of folks that played with me are playing on it, and going to start playing shortly after not shortly after it's released. Got an album release party coming out on the November 16th-ish. And laying out gigs beyond that. Have a plan to play kind of some interesting quality gigs outside of Nashville. To your point, So looking forward to actually getting out and playing live.
Oh, nice, good. All right. Well, I won't keep you, Scott, anymore.
I appreciate it, Danny. It's a pleasure.
Yep, you too. Been a pleasure talking to you. Good luck with it, and I hope everything works out, man. It's never too late to start something new, man.
I hear you. Well, it's been a blast so far.
Good.
I've enjoyed just talking to guys like you. I mean, it's really cool. Guys that really love, music, and it's been a blast.
Yep. Good, Ben. Best of luck.
Feel like a racehorse with nowhere to run. Know there's a switch that I haven't turned on. Don't know if I'll find a time when I can pull my feet out of this quicksand. Just hold my head up so I don't drown, so I can see there's a lighthouse for me, a beacon till I come around. Here I come. How many times do I have to go down on my knees seeking lost to find? I'm tired of this struggle of mine. I'm gonna get it done. Hey, your world, get ready for me, 'cause here I come. Just hold my head up so I don't drown, so I can see there's a lighthouse for me, a beacon till I come around. Just let me up, don't hold me down. Can't keep my feet on the ground. Give me a glimpse of where to go now. To show me how to pick myself up, take all this world will allow. Oh, I need to see there's a lighthouse for me, a beacon till I come around. Here I come. There's a lighthouse for me, a beacon till I come around. Yeah, I need to see there's a lighthouse for me, a beacon till I come around. Heard you call tonight for I'll meet with some sweet brown down on Main Street. Did you think I'd be baking or sitting reading Shakespeare under a tree? You know I hate to see you moping round with those tears in your eyes. Babe, I'm here to dry you and put a little sunshine back in your life. I can see those teardrops in your eyes. I can see that quiver in your smile. Let's forget and head on back to the bright side. Oh, baby, don't cry. Baby, don't cry. Baby, don't cry. Baby, don't cry. Dry your dark eyes, darling. Pull back your hair and let your chin. Try to say it so often, but here, let me try it again. When you went out with him, you know I nearly died. Swore if he ever left you, I'd be there forever by your side. I can see those teardrops in your eyes. I can see that quiver in your smile. Let's forget and head on back to the bright side. Oh, baby, don't cry.
Baby, don't cry.
Baby, don't cry.
Baby, don't cry.
Baby, don't cry. Baby, don't cry. I can see those teardrops in your eyes. I can see that quiver in your smile. Let's forget and head on back to the bright side. Reach another high. Never say goodbye. Oh, baby, don't cry.
Baby, don't cry.
Baby, don't cry.
Baby, don't cry.
Baby, don't cry. Baby, don't cry. Oh, baby, don't cry. the old watering hole in the middle of the night on my way to Vegas. This time I did it right. Grabbed a stool next to this leather-faced, grizzly old man. Rolled his eyes at me and took his drink into his hand. Kinda laughed with a long toe, looked at me like I was a joke. Well, that got me red and I said, hey, old dude, why you gotta look down on me? I just need my fries to cook. He grinned at me and said, look here, son, I've met your kind before. On the way to house, gonna hit that one big score. But I'll tell you what they were told, don't go down that road. Take it from me, I had it all right in my hand. Knew when to hold, knew when to fold. But I couldn't walk away, I lost it all that day. It crushed me right down to my soul. So listen to me, don't go down that road. Craziest coot I thought that I would ever see. There's no way in hell that would ever happen to me. Wolfed down my fries, a little pie, got a cup of Joe to go. Before I left, he said, son, won't you go back home? His face fell as I said no, and rolled on down the road. I came out hot, winning pots, even when the odds were long. I was on fire, I could do no wrong. Till something changed, it was strange. Lost my edge and had to choke back the tears, knowing I was broke. I could hear his words ring in my head, no, I will till I'm cold and dead. Well, I wish I sat back down and got another cup of coffee. I wish I turned around and gone back home. But I thought I knew everything, and now I got this song to sing. Tough lesson learned, but now I know. So listen close, don't go down that road. Yeah, I wish I sat back down and got another cup of coffee. I wish I turned around and gone back home. But I thought I knew everything, and now I got this song to sing. Tough lesson learned, but now I know. So listen close, don't go down that road.
There's Slaw with Don't Go Down That Road. Before that, Baby Don't Cry, and the title cut, Here I Come. Gotta give the guy credit, 55 years old and abandoned his quote-unquote real job to become a musician, a full-time musician. Kudos to him. Well, this next gentleman, he's even a little older. I did an interview recently with a band called Novo Combo. They were together back in the 80s, and they had one of those typical MTV power pop type of groups. One of the original members, or founding members, a gentleman by the name of Stephen Dees. He's the bassist and the vocalist. He was in the original touring band of Hall & Oates, and he's played with Todd Rundgren, Ian Hunter, Tony Carey, Pat Travers, Foghat. His current band, I believe, is the Wild Roots. That's his side project outside of Novo Combo. But in this band also features Jack Griffith, who has been in Mick Jagger's band. Carlos Santana. He played with late great bluesman Gary Moore. Fiona. So he's been around for a while. He's a vocalist and vocals and guitar. Pete Hewlett also guitar and vocalist. He has recorded and toured with Billy Joel, Carly Simon, Joe Jackson, Julian Lennon, and so many more. And then, of course, there's on drums Michael Shreve. Now, Michael is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for his work with Carlos Santana, and he was the drummer with Santana at Woodstock. He's been quoted as you'll hear in the interview, one of John Bonham's influences. So, wrapping up pretty much the interviews for this program will be Stephen Dees talking about Novo Combo.
The name of the record is 45 West 55th, and that's the address of Michael's apartment in New York City. Excuse me, where I first met him, and it all started from there, and so that's why we named it that, because the album is kind of a composite or anthology, not unlike the Beatles, what the Beatles did. In fact, I kind of nicked the idea from them, where, we have songs that were unreleased, demo songs that were for the first record, and of course we recorded new songs as well. We got 5 new recordings on the record, and we just thought it was a nice way to reclaim our legacy, because in the past many years, people have been selling our record, illegally, and not compensating us. And, it's happened for a long time.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's put our own record and sort of say, hey, this is us. And it's a good record. And if you want to support what we did, it'd be great, But instead of paying some guy that's ripping us off. But anyway, and he rips off a lot of artists. This guy just sort of does this as a living. It's a weird thing. I've talked to other people that he's selling to. And in fact, I was checking him out, and I talked to a friend, that I used to play with. He has several albums out. And I asked him about this guy, and he goes, well, this guy's a crook and a liar. So it's like, oh, well, and he's one of these kind of guys that he's kind of under the radar. Nobody wants to go to court, and he knows that. I think we'd have to do a class act thing, or a whole thing where everybody gets together. But it's just not worth it. It's like there's bad players and people that do things like that all the time. You have to expect it. But this guy really kind of takes the cake. But anyway, so that was also an incentive. But what really got me sparked on it was I was. A good friend of mine passed away several years ago. His name was Eddie Zine. We were kids, together, grew up. He was a drummer, great drummer. We played together many bands, including the Hall & Oates band in the 70s. We played in that band. It was really great and had a great time. But anyway, when he passed away, I just started going through my archives of music because I wanted to hear things with Eddie on it. And, just remembering him. And when I went in there, of course, there's tons of other things. And there was a bunch of Novo Combo music. And I listened to that, and I was like, wow, what a great band that was. I really was blown away by how good we were, after listening to the demos, because it was so real. I mean, we're a real band. It was a really good band. And everybody pulled their weight in that band. It was really very talented band. And so I'm listening to these demos, and some of the demos are better than what made it to the record. I know people say that a lot, but it's absolutely true. Because back then, we would go, when we were doing demos, we would go in for one afternoon and just play live. Just cut the songs. Here you go. No tricks, no computers, just boom, here it is. We're a band, and we played, and that's some of the tracks that we put on this record. I love the rawness and the energy that's involved in just playing, because in the last 30 years or so, everything's been about, Pro Tools and computers and get everything perfect. And it was just really refreshing to hear us just go in and slam it out, And then, but so it's like, hey man, this is great. And I started talking to the guys, and we just started having a conversation, because we're a very democratic band, and started going back and forth with the tunes and picking the songs and deciding what we want to do on it. And then we arrived to where we're at now, and really glad that we did it. It was nice hooking up with them because I've always loved these guys. And we basically broke up back in the day because of business stuff. Seems like business stuff always seems to mess it up back then.
Yeah.
Because all the money involved and time and this and that and everything, and you got to have a hit and etc. And just that kind of thing.
As a drummer myself, I can appreciate what you're talking about, especially with who you have on this record with you, with Michael. And I can appreciate what you're talking about with the business. There's only two reasons bands break up. It's either the ego or money. And it's a shame, really. But imagine that. Somebody doing somebody else dirty in the music business. I find that shocking.
Well, I mean, I had so many little situations like that where signed to management, that were, taking advantage of me, because when I went up to New York initially, I was just a kid. And, I mean, literally management behind the desk with a cigar saying, I'm going to make you a star kind of stuff. I mean, it's like a cliche,
right?
But true. And it really happened. And initially I didn't have representation, no lawyer. So I kind of got taken to the cleaners by a certain guy that I wish not, I don't want to, cast any shade, but you live and learn. You live and learn, and it's always been about the music for me. So the whole, business thing, I'm not a business guy. I don't know a lot of, some musicians are, but most of them aren't, they usually have somebody help them out. But, I mean, I didn't even have an attorney when I signed with some things back in the day. I had a solo record on RCA, and it was co-produced with Daryl Hall, and because when I was working with those guys, and and that was great. The music part. I mean, working with Daryl, I would really appreciate working with Daryl. He was very considerate and kind to me. Kind of took me under his wing, and that was great. But it wasn't them. It wasn't Hall and Oates. It was the business people involved.
Right.
And yeah, they're fine. They're regular guys. Just like like anybody else. They're about the music as well. For sure.
It's a buddy of mine just left Hall & Oates after like 25 years of playing with them. He was a keyboard player, Elliot Lewis.
Because you play with Hall & Oates, you mean the whole band, or just Daryl?
The whole band.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, there's no more Hall & Oates, so.
Right. But, yeah, so he left them, I guess, 2 years ago now, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know, but he's focusing on his solo stuff.
Cool. Now, what was his name?
Elliot Lewis.
I've heard that name. I work with Charlie Deschamps. He's the saxophone player from Hall & Oates.
Oh, okay. All right.
The guy plays on, their big number one hits. He's been with them forever. And in fact, Charlie is on the Novo Combo record. He plays on the track.
Oh, nice.
He plays a song called It's Only Temporary. And he's fab. I've known Charlie forever. In fact, I knew Charlie when I was a teenager back in Coconut Grove. And he was like the older cat who really had it together, really good musician. And he was in a band called Bethlehem Asylum, and they had a record deal. So we looked up to them. But, he's been a lifelong friend. In fact, we're currently, I live in Florida and he lives in Florida. And we're going to be doing some gigs coming up, with my band called The Wild Roots. And he's been playing on and off of The Wild Roots for years. Great guy, great player.
Oh, it's always good to have one of them in your pocket,
Yeah. Ask him because he definitely knows everybody, and everybody knows him.
Who was the other guy? Oh, I did a gig one time. I was part of the house band with I had a Sam Cooke tribute with Paul Pesco.
Oh, okay.
Back in probably about 7-8 years ago now. He was a good guy too.
Yeah.
So I like what you said about the records, because I've done that in recording sessions. I did a recording session one time that was supposed to start at 6 o'clock. It got pushed back to 6:30. I was home watching the hockey game by 5 minutes to 7. It was went in, one take, and we were out.
All right. right, that's what you want.
That's exactly it. We put the whole band in a room. We got the live sound. Boom, done. I was just a hired gun. I went in to lay down the drum track, but that's when everybody's got their act together, it makes it a lot better. You know.
Now, was this up in Jersey or New York?
Jersey.
Well, that's the thing, man. Back in those days, all the engineers. In fact, we did the House of. Have you ever heard of the House of Music in New Jersey? Remember that place?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we did. Actually, I did some recording there on my solo record, but Novo Combo also did some demo recording for a day. But the thing is, about up in New York and New Jersey, almost all engineers that you use, if you go to a good studio, are really good engineers. They know about how to mix the drums and bass up there. And whereas in LA, I always kind of thought, they didn't have a handle on as much as the New York cats and the Jersey guys, because you go back and listen to these demos, and the drums and the bass are just really there, and they were great, because we'd go in literally in an afternoon and cut like 4 or 5 songs and get out, and that would be it.
Yep.
And they were always together. In fact, some of these tracks are just how they mixed them. It was. They were that together.
That makes it economical too.
Oh yeah. When we did our record with having a record company behind us, it was still, you go in, you had more time than you did, of course, than the demos, but you'd go in and it's still, everybody's looking at their watch and going, hey, this is $80 an hour or whatever it was. You know what I mean? You still have that. You're like, well, hurry up, kind of thing.
Right.
And that was the one good thing about now, because when we went back and did some songs, we were able to take our time, and get it right where we wanted it. So it's kind of a nice contrast between the raw, immediate stuff, and some more disciplined, regular recording like now. But bottom line is, we're Novo Combo, and we always sound like Novo Combo no matter what we do, because we're a band for sure,
Is
that messing around?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, we just do what we do, it's our thing. And so we fell into it pretty easily, because everybody's, has had a life in music, In fact, Michael just has a new album that came out called Drums of Compassion. It's an instrumental thing. And, he's always, he's an artsy guy, man. He's always chasing it, and doing cool things. And so it was nice to have him, with us on this whole thing. And, he's into it, it's because, when time passes by, you hopefully just remember all the good stuff. And that's what I was doing. And that's what we were doing by, going back to 45 West 55th. I mean, when we put this band together, Michael was the only guy living in New York at that time. So when we went up there, we would all crash on his floor in his apartment, that very apartment. And we put all the songs together there. We worked really hard writing together. And then finally I moved up there, and Jack moved up. And, we just really, we're a band trying to do our thing and playing around, because there's a lot of places to play in New York and New Jersey, by the way. We played there several times in that area. In fact, isn't the theater in New Jersey as well?
I'm sorry, you cut out there, Stephen.
The Capitol Theater, that's in New Jersey, isn't it?
In Passaic, there used to be the Capitol Theater. I don't know if that's still open or not.
Yeah, it was like, like a movie theater thing, and it was a great, and everybody played there, and there was a lot of recordings done there, and that was a great venue. I played there several times, and but yeah, it was, you could have some place to play every weekend, so we could go out on that first record and play for people, and and get the reaction. That's what you want. Get the reaction from, hey, that song was happening, guys, or that song, or hey, man, can you do that? That kind of thing. So we really hit the streets and did what bands do.
How much of that comes through on this new record?
It's the same energy. Everybody sounds the same, which is really great. because I mean I'm 72 and I'm the next to the youngest guy, but all three singers, Pete, myself, and Jack, we all sound exactly the same, so that's cool. Because when they get older, their voices change, or they don't have the same range, or whatever it is. And I was really pleasantly surprised that still sounds like we're kids, really, like we did then.
Well, and now that it's out, what do you have any kind of extensive tour planned? You're going to weekend warrior it, one-off shows? What are we doing to promote it?
Well, we're promoting it. We have a promoter, and we're doing everything that you normally do. The thing is, we have a certain following, and it's just getting the word out there to let people know that we have this out. And of course, we don't have, giant money like you did back in the day. So it's, we expect a slow build, and that's fine. We did it mostly for us and our fans, and we're not expecting it to, change the world or anything. We're just expecting actually nothing other than what it already is, because it's already lived to our expectations. So we're happy about that. As far as touring, everybody lives all over the country, and Michael is into like a different kind of thing now. He's mostly playing, standing up and playing a lot of different instruments. And he had a back operation a couple years ago, so for him to sit behind a drum kit, for a long time is kind of rough for him. Yeah. So who knows? But never say never. And but we do have a couple live videos that are going to be coming out that we taped way back when, like in '81 or something, and it's probably the only film of us playing and performing live at the same time. Because there's a lot of videos out there, and we did TV shows, but those were all lip syncing. And there's several, of course, live recorded shows like King Biscuit or whatever was happening back then. But I don't think there's any of us actually, here it is live. We're actually, audio and visual at the same time. We have that because there was a crew from Italy that came over and wanted to film us and talk and interview us, basically more like an interview, I think. And there's this primitive, like one camera and a mic, and we were doing a sound check. We were playing a gig in Connecticut, I believe, and it was just a sound check. And he was like, "Can we record a couple of songs?" We was like, "Sure." And so it's kind of low tech, but still it captures what we were about. And of course, when you have an audience, it's better because we were playing to no one at that time, except for the camera guy. And but you get a really good sense of what we were, very high energy, into it band, that gelled well together. And that's, so important. And speaking of drummers, for me, being a bass player, the drummer is everything,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, to play with Michael and have that energy was just great. I was always a Michael fan, even before I met him. And which were a lot of guys in the rhythm section were Michael fans, really. After that, seeing the Woodstock thing just blew me away, of course, like so many people. I was just talking to someone, and they were just reading Alex Van Halen's book. He's got a book out.
Okay.
And very early in, like page 24 or something like that, he says the same thing about how Michael Shreve blew him away at the Woodstock thing. And it had a big, heavy, it affected him. It's like, so there you go. It's like, wow, that's amazing. And and also, who else? I know. Oh, yeah. Michael met Jimmy Page a couple years ago, and Jimmy Page told him, John Bonham loved your drumming. So it's like, wow. Now, he didn't know that till after all these years.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And people love John Bonham's drumming. That he's like one of the main guys in the rock pantheon for sure.
Oh, yeah. I was just telling somebody the other day, at the age of 11, I started to play the drums, and for my 12th birthday, my cousin gave me Led Zeppelin 4, and I've had lead poisoning ever since. I mean, it literally changed my life. And, I often sit down and you look at the various drummers that Bonham used as influences. one of which lives or used to live here in Jersey. He's down in North Carolina now, but Bernard Purdy. And then
Bernard.
yeah, and then you look at like Michael and things of that nature. It's just I don't know. They just don't seem to make them like that anymore.
Well, there's a lot of great drummers out there and kids that are playing. I mean, there's this one girl named Gina, I believe. I think she's an Italian gal, young gal, and she's fantastic. I mean, she does these videos where she's playing with classic rock, and they take the drums off and she just plays. I mean, it's so inspiring. I mean, I love it. It's just great. You ought to check her out. And but there's a lot of kids. It's just putting it together. It's and having the right vehicle to do it. The right kind of music. And back in the '60s and into the '70s, music was incredibly creative. The whole sort of basic what rock music is and everything has already been done. And but it was new and fresh back then, and it was very exciting because they were coming up with it. They were inventing it literally, and there hasn't really been anybody that's made it any better. Really, I mean, there's some people great, but I don't know anybody that's actually any better than what went down in the '60s and '70s. There's some great people in the '80s. I mean, don't get me wrong. In fact, now, I mean, I love Nirvana. It's about songs for me. I love good songs, and that's also what Novo Combo was about too. We were more about playing to the song. Bringing our own influences and vibes into the song, but it was always about, hey, the song's got to be good. And because the Beatles. I mean, the Beatles set such a high bar for songwriting that it's ridiculous, how good those guys were, and just their techniques and everything they did, and their incredible advancements. So, within just a matter of years, I mean, they were the leaders, and I mean, there's so many. I mean, I was just reading a thing about Brian May just talking about what the Beatles meant to him, and it's like it could be me talking about them. They affected so many people like that way. And Alex Van Halen too. I was listening to him on Fresh Air recently, and he was like, "Well, we were like everybody else, the Beatles that got us going." It's like, "Oh yeah, let's do that."
Oh, of course. Yep.
Yeah.
of 8. This train, first stop, second stop, 3 and a 4, let me out the door. What for? So it goes and it goes, don't know just how to lose. These blues, city bound, city bound, city bound. E-train to the town, downtown, city bound. E-train, city bound, city bound, city bound. E-train to the town, downtown, city bound. E-train. City bound, city bound, city bound. E-train to the town, downtown, city bound. E-train, city bound, bound, city bound, city bound. E-train to the town, downtown, city bound. E-train. It's getting late, gotta run on our way. It's another day. Subway.
This is Sloppy Joe
Clobberella,
and Classy Chassis.
and we're Penn Jersey Roller Derby, and you're listening to Rock On Radio.
Been a long week, thank God it's a Friday. There's a secret little road right off the highway. Through the woods we go, across a couple creeks, down my old man Johnson's farm. What could go wrong? 'Cause me and my buddies, some gasoline and some pyro putty, a case of Natty Light and some Oklahoma Green, a pot of vodka to keep us warm. So if you wanna come along, there's gonna be some loving, gonna be some mud, and we're racing to get there first. Gonna be some drinking, gonna be some fighting, somebody gonna get hurt. Ooh, and then light that fire, the lights are gonna get burned. They'll be dancing, 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 dancing in the dirt. A truck full of girls and then it's a party. If I learn not to slur, I might get lucky. I got a new flannel shirt and a splash of old
spikes to wash away the smoke. So jump on in if you wanna come along. There's gonna be some loving, gonna be some mudding. We're racing to get there first. Gonna be some drinking, gonna be some fighting. Somebody gonna get hurt. Ooh, when they light that fire, the lives are gonna get burned. They'll be dancing, 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 dancing in the dirt. Round and round and round we go. Grab your partner and dose-a-do. Nothing makes me come alive like a pretty girl in a Dippin' Dots. So roll one up, pour a drink in a long line of gasoline. Strike that mattress, here we go. Get lighted up and watch it blow. Watch it blow. There's gonna be some loving, gonna be some muddy, and we're racing to get there first. Gonna be some drinking, gonna be some fighting. Somebody gonna get hurt. Ooh, when they light that fire, the lives are gonna get burned. They'll be dancing, 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 dancing in the dirt. She wonders why she's on a road and she can't tell the time, 'cause she's on the jack. She can't drive a car, she wants to fly a plane, but she's not coming back like she did before. Gotta let me see the sun before the fall. Let me see the
There's the Delta Sound with Sun Before the Fall. Dancing in the Dirt from Houston Bernard, and City Bound, and then in parentheses, E-Train from Novo Combo. Well, that brings us to the end of Rock On Radio. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Producer Claire will be back next week, along probably with Bruce from Deco Entertainment. So until then, rock on.